You are invited to experience unity. It's time to put aside the differences that divide us. And embrace the beauty of each one of us being different, being unique, being ourselves. In the essence of who we truly are. A beautiful array of human beings across the planet. So many different ways of being human. So let us get to know each other. Let's spend time with each other. Let's learn from each other. And let's open our hearts to each other. And let's find the unity that exists right in the middle of the richness of our diversity. We are human. We are unique. We are one.
Yes, an invitation to unity. Isn't that beautiful? Hello, Gary.
Hey, Ben. Good to see you.
It's great to be here. Great to be here with you in Hubcast Studios. And there's so much of what we're seeing is about collaboration and partnership and co-creation. And such an honor to be here with two amazing co-creators, with Gary Malkin and Sarah McCrum. Welcome, Sarah.
Thank you, Ben. It's great to be here.
Now, for people who don't know, Gary and Sarah are the creators of those beautiful transformances. We just experienced one, and there are many different ones that are incredible gifts from your combined genius. So firstly, I just want to acknowledge and say thank you, Gary, and thank you, Sarah, for gifting the whole field, the whole community with these beautiful tools for reflection and for contemplation and for coherence building. It's such a beautiful, beautiful resource that we all have to share. So thank you. This is a very exciting moment in Peace Week 2023. There've been a lot of firsts, a lot of breaking new grounds, and a lot of things being born. It's really exciting. And this is another example. Actually, I know, Gary, you've been working on this for a very long time in co-creation with Sarah and others. This is the pilot program of what is going to become an ongoing series. How wonderful is that? The series is Islands of Inner Peace video podcast, which is being launched right here now in Peace Week. And this is the pilot. So very, very exciting. Let me give you guys a brief introduction, and then we're going to enjoy this Islands of Inner Peace pilot program. Gary Malkin is a composer, performer, and public speaker whose work redefines the role of music as a transformational resource to deepen emotional intelligence and heart-centered mindfulness into the fabric of our lives. And there's a lot more in your bio, Gary, but I'm going to keep it to that. Good. Because we want to get into the coherence and the resonance. Sarah McCrum. Sarah believes, I love a bio that starts with what the person believes. Sarah believes in a society that is fundamentally based in love, generosity, and a deep understanding of the essence of being human. Her purpose is to contribute to creating a world that works for 100% of humanity. Gary, Malkin, Sarah McCrum, we are so honored to have you here on Peace Week on this broadcast for this pilot program of the Islands of Inner Peace. And we're going to continue now with a little video.
Actually, no, we're not. Actually,
Okay.
What I'm going to do is I want to make an opening statement. First of all, I want to say, hey, Sarah, thank you for being my first guest on this pilot television podcast.
Well, it feels an appropriate place to be, given the creativity that has arisen between us. So nice to share that.
Truly, yeah. So before first I'm going to read, I wrote something this morning that I want to read as the kind of the articulation of what this show is all about. So here we go. Welcome to Islands of Inner Peace, an evolution of my Gaia TV series now unveiled as a video podcast. This series melds the profound spoken insights of global visionaries with evocative music and imagery, crafting an experience where wisdom is deeply felt, right? In a world dominated by incessant chatter, Islands of Inner Peace offers a tranquil haven, introducing an immersive listening experience that I call alchemical wisdom. Joined by luminary guides like Sarah McCrum, and very appropriate that she be my first guest when you hear more about the evolution of our creative process, we explore potent narratives to foster resilience, presence, and compassion during life's pivotal moments. So this is more than just a podcast. It's a transformative pause, an inquiry guiding us towards heightened clarity and purpose. Engage with us in mere moments. We can actually harness this state change technology to rejuvenate, to reconnect, and to reclaim our innate wisdom and anchor into what genuinely enriches our lives. So that's what we're going to discuss today, the phenomenon of what happens when wisdom is encased and delivered in the context of beauty, music, and visual. So, Sarah, before I play the video that introduces the transformers, I just want to invite you to start saying anything about the journey that led to the video I'm going to play from our Transformance website. Just say a little bit more about your evolution from these transmissions that you used to give at 6 a.m. in the morning. And then we jumped into this experience almost like we dove into the deep end of the pool in your country, in your part of the world.
Well, some years ago, a friend of mine talked to me about this guy called Gary Malkin, who he thought I perhaps would like to meet. And he played me some music by him. And from the very moment that I heard the very beginning of the music, when the piano first starts to play, I felt like my soul started to unfold, literally. I've never forgotten the words because I'd never even thought about my soul unfolding before that. And I said, I have to work with this guy. And it felt I felt very small. I felt like, oh, he's this very big composer and I'm just this person, the other side of the world who I was recording these energy activations every day. As Gary said, 365 days a year at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, I was recording 25, 30-minute energy activations on a different topic every day. And I just wanted to do it with music. I was very involved with music when I was young and didn't play then much for a long time. And I knew that if we put the words and the energy together with this kind of music, that something really special would happen. And the very first time Gary and I went into a studio and he played a phrase on the piano and I started to speak, it was like this magic experience that has been there ever since. We didn't need any rehearsal. We didn't need any preparation. We just sat down and we both improvised, him playing the piano, me speaking. And that's the experience that we're sharing because it's a transformative experience to actually listen to it. And that's what we are inviting you into.
Yes. And just a little history for those of you who don't know, this journey for me started when Michael and Doris Stillwater invited me in 1998 to explore the idea of doing something for people facing the end of life. And when Michael Stillwater and I were in the studio, and I asked him to speak intimately and tenderly, as if someone had just received a terminal diagnosis. I was at the keyboard doing an orchestral string patch. And when he was done, I had goosebumps on top of goosebumps. And I looked at him and I went, has anybody ever taken tender, the kind of fly on the wall, tender spoken wisdom to something really intimate, to someone that might be about to be cracked open by news of their terminal diagnosis, and set it to a film score? And we thought, who'd done this before? And that became the work that's now touched over 1 million people, called Graceful Passages, a companion for living and dying. And it's helped people reframe over literal loss as well as metaphoric loss, the part of the cycle of life that most people in this world tend to subjugate or even downright avoid and deny, which is part of the cycle of life that has to do with the quickening into the ending, the letting go, the transmuting into disappearing and no longer being on this planet in physical form. And this work has touched a lot of people. But my orientation as a film composer used to require very complex musical scores with lots of shading and lots of tracks and lots of bells and whistles. You can imagine my surprise when I step into this studio with Sarah and something remarkable happened. I went back to the little 5-year-old that I was when I first played the piano, and the simplicity and the innocence and the beauty of this expressive instrument that was introduced to me at 5 years old, and I instantly could play the moment I touched it. And suddenly that tenderness, that innocence, that sensitivity was awakened by this magnificent being that I'm sharing the screen with. And I do think that it had something to do, Sarah, with your phenomenal love of simplicity in its most profound transmissive form. It's almost like in your field, my complexity couldn't exist. It just, the need for complexity, even the need for me to judge it and make it perfect, there was no room for that. And there it was. It flowed out of me such a surprising way. And we thought we'd get 3 or 4 that day, and we did 15 in one day. All first takes, all completely required very little adjusting in post-production. And it was a revelation for me when I realized that the alchemical wisdom modality, which I'm very big on, having released Gaia's Islands of Infinite Peace since, for a long time. It was first created in 2010 and then was launched on Gaia 2015. But this genre took it to a whole other level of simplicity and clarity. And it helped me see the power of cultivating resonance in intelligence, the ability to sense into the moment. And I was listening to you like white on rice, Sarah, and you were listening to me like we were just completely one being, right? So before I play the 15-minute video, because that's a lot, you want to say anything else about the experience, or shall I just go to that video right now?
I just want to say one thing. I feel inside myself, in a world where we're constantly marketing to different audiences and, speaking all these different ways, I always feel there's a universal language. And if we can tune in to that really simple shared language of being human, then we touch each other in a completely different way. And it sort of almost bypasses the chatter in the mind, which you mentioned earlier, and enables us to go straight into our being, into who we really are. And that, for me, is what's the essence of what we're doing here.
When I first came out with that term, transformance, which came from another friend of mine, we both latched on it. And the idea that this is intended for some form of trance or alpha state, or more importantly, it's a transmission that is an extemporaneous performance. So I just want you to see what's on our transformance.global website, because you articulate it right in the kind of the afterglow of the creation of it, that there's something about you describing this. So if we can cue up that 50-second video that's on the website of transformance.global, I'd appreciate that. we'll need a little time for the transmission, I think, for the transition. So,
transformance is at its most literal a transformative performance. So it combines spoken word and music. They are created live and improvised together. So it's very spontaneous, and at the same time, for both the spoken word and the music, it's like a download or a transmission. There's a transmission of energy that happens as a result, so that when you listen to a transformance, it's not just like listening to a piece of music or listening to somebody speaking, but it's a sharing of energy that directly impacts you, so you feel it in your own body, in your own energy. So the transformation is happening as you listen to the transformance.
I love the way you describe that. And you know, there's something about this evolution of the wisdom film that I developed with more complex soundtracks, that seems to bring people into a congealed and unified state as a group. Could you say a little bit about, since I love these so much, I included 6 of your transformances that we do with Pure Audio, and I set it to the extraordinary images of the cinematographer you've introduced me to, Louis Robert. And so we're going to see a little bit of that Gaia Speaks video as an example, but I'd like you to share a little bit about how you share it sometimes at the beginning when you feel that it's something that would benefit your webinars or your private coaches, and just what is the difference before and after in the space or in the individual, whichever you want to speak to. You know, what occurs?
Yeah, it's actually really interesting because I work with energy all the time. And so I have the ability to create peace in a room or relax people, to help people change their state quite easily. But if I start a webinar or a class with even a really short transformance, like the invitation to unity that we watched at the very beginning of this show, it takes people instantly into a state where their heart is open. And what I feel is they're more human. It's like the whole human being is here in the room. And it does it so fast that it's much more efficient than me doing it on my own without the music. So there's something about this combination, the music and the words together and the energy and the transmission, that enables an almost instantaneous change and makes people naturally more present, more in their hearts, so they're more generous. They don't get into their heads and into all that kind of fighting that goes on when we're in our heads. And just like more of themselves and less of having corporate or other hats on. And I think that that is a really important thing in today's world, that we are more human, more ourselves, and less putting on roles and masks. So this is a way to unmask people very generously and gently. They don't feel like they have been, but they behave differently. Just literally, they are different before they started listening and after they finished listening.
Yeah, I know. I have had this experience, especially the first video I want to share that you put to video with Louis Robert, the You Are So Beautiful video. Remember when we did that in the studio in Brisbane? It was almost like an afterthought. We just thought, well, maybe we should do something really short, And
this was the very first thing. This is the very first thing we recorded.
Oh, I'm forgetting that. Okay, thank you for reminding me. Yeah, so that video, I think we give it away for free on Transformance.global, has had such a powerful impact on especially the way I use it. I use it at the end of webinars or calls, and I use it as audio only. And I ask that people keep their videos on, and I ask for people to don't posture, don't say goodbye. It's normally at the end when you integrate this sense of appreciation for what we've just experienced together on a call, right? And so by playing this video and just by looking at people's natural state with no preparation, just literally just looking and being generous with your face, being offering yourself as you are. And I tell you, tears start streaming in the eyes of everyone there, because somehow what's revealed is a gratitude for life, a gratitude for each other, a gratitude for this moment as it reveals itself in the bouquet of these human beings that have just been with us for the last hour. So what you're about to experience is the video version of the shortest transformance we've created. But often I say, I just to listen with your eyes closed is also an option if you're drawn to it. It's a beautiful experience either way. So you want to say anything before I play this "You Are So Beautiful" video?
No, this is one just to experience.
Great. Okay. So this is the "You Are So" video transformance that was turned into beautiful images by Louis Robert. Check this out.
Do you know how beautiful you are? Have you ever stopped to look at yourself? To see yourself in your truth? In the clarity of who you are? In your magnificence? If only you could see what I can see. If only you could know what I know of you. You would stand before yourself in awe. You would see yourself you would feel yourself. You would know yourself. And so I invite you in this moment to see how beautiful you are, to see yourself in clarity, in simplicity, in your true nature. I invite you to see yourself. You are so beautiful.
When we first, sorry about that, when we first did these videos, I was very impatient with the endings because, you know, there's that need to fill space with constant words in the culture that we live in. And I can almost mark the evolutionary journey that I've been on by how much I savor the silence at the end of that with the credits, and before I was so antsy, I was just like, oh, can I just get over with, but I now use those seconds, because there's something about the silence after that experience, after all the wisdom films and the transformances, that's a kind of purified silence. Suddenly, what's purified is my capacity for what I call holistic attention, right? So whereas before I might have been focused on how I was perceiving through my frontal lobe and my linear rational capacities, something about being in that spaciousness and slowing down and feeling the tenderness and the poignancy and the beauty of those words and the music as they wrapped around each other somehow brought my heart and soul more available to me in some inexplicable way. And this is why I'm developing and why I have been working on this for 25 years since Graceful Passages, and why I want to do a podcast of this nature. I believe that part of the chaos and the mess that human race is in, it's a big statement, but I'm going to say it. I believe that part of the mess we've created has been from a hyper engagement with believing that our linear rational mind will solve all our problems. And that the only, like in academic and governmental and financial worlds, the only credible way to communicate is through the linear rational, evidence-based, frontal lobe engagement, right? My dream is that we actually have evidence to demonstrate that when we can actually bring our heart wisdom, as HeartMath has talked about, and our soul wisdom, which is involving our energetic capacity to sense what's happening on an energetic, intuitive level, we won't be as disregarding of the have and have not problem, of the way we treat the earth and the way all of this is going on. There'll be a wider and deeper access to our human intelligence that isn't expressly focused on the frontal lobe. And that's my why. That's why this is happening. So just want to know what you have to say about that. If there isn't anything that inspires in you.
Actually, just what I feel when I watch that, it's a while since I've seen that, and I listened to it, and it brought tears to my eyes to watch it. Maybe I needed it right now, but I remember when we recorded it, and the same now. I just feel like how beautiful it would be if every single person in the world could just see that about themselves, just have this little reflection of how beautiful you are as you are, with exactly all the facial features, all the things that, we criticize so easily and judge so easily. Just to know and have that moment of presence with yourself and to know your own beauty. That's something I would share with everyone in the world without hesitation.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that whole thing about other as a verb. We other each other, like the opening invitation to unity. There are so many people in so many expressions, but we are one. We are unique. We are human. We are one. We are unique are the last three phrases in that invitation to unity. And we are human. We are one.
And we are human. We are unique.
We are unique.
We are one.
We are one. There's great power in the juxtaposition of those three statements. And it's almost like an antidote to othering one another, right? And so you're right, seeing those images and the beauty of the human form, and when it's just in their authentic self, it's something very special.
Or perhaps the point is actually to see the other in somebody, is to see the uniqueness of that person, is actually really to see what's there without any comparison, just without that sense of, I need to compare myself with you, but I'm here. I can only see you if I'm here and you're there, and there's this space. I feel that's such a beautiful place, because it's a shared experience. It's like it can't just be about you or just be about me. It's me seeing you, me seeing and knowing the beauty of you, which I can only do through the beauty of me. And that's what makes it so powerful, actually, and that it changes you from the inside.
Yes. You know, as a cultural New York Jew originally, I had to go through, I was the WASP in training with my second wife, and she was the Jew in training. I was a wit and she was a jit. And the way I would train to be a better husband was to not interrupt constantly. Cultural New York Jews interrupt constantly. And I was thinking about, you know, how when you feel like you're being heard by someone that's actually present, not thinking about what they're about to say while you're saying what you're saying, it's another version of that. It is like it's like a preparation for what I call the fruit of the human melding of all our intelligences, which is radical presence in body, mind, heart, and soul. Radical presence. We're not waiting for you to finish so I can get my word in edgewise, but this ability to really give each other the gift of being seen, the gift of being felt, the gift of being present with. And that's one of the things that's growing extinct in our culture. I mean, I don't think it'll ever grow extinct, but let's put it this way. I feel like the mainstream is reinforcing a way of being that isn't necessarily about this idea of spaciousness that allows us to relate with one another without a possibility of pregnant pauses. Instead, do you know what I mean, Sarah?
That's what's so beautiful, is that in that very pressure from the mainstream, actually that spaciousness is growing faster than it's probably ever grown before in the history of humanity. That's the other side of it. I see that everywhere. At 5:30 this morning, I was with a little group of women in Scotland and Canada and the UK, and just this sense of exploration of deep topics of life with this little international group. And I realized these little groups are happening all over the world, of people really delving into themselves and their way of living and changing with that spaciousness. And that's growing under the very pressure that you're speaking of.
Right.
So that's very heartening.
Yeah. And that's why I called the Gaia TV show called Islands of Inner Peace. If we take this opportunity to deepen the dimensionality of our inner peace so that it's broader and more spacious in the way we're talking about, I feel like this is where peace comes from. Yeah. And so it's one of the reasons why I feel like the perfect place to launch this pilot is Peace Week, because we will not create peace if we don't have peace in our as a direct experience in our being, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I want to play a piece of music because the time is moving on. And this was the revelation for me. When we created Graceful Passages and launched it in 2001, we almost didn't include the second CD, which is called Unspeakable Grace. It's the album of the music only, the music of Graceful Passages. You can get it anywhere where music is streamed. And when I took the words away from these improvisations to your voice, I had this trippy revelation. On an energetic and on a field level, your energy and your words and your emotion and your concepts fueled my scoring instantly on the piano. So the energy of those emotions basically catalyzed, are in the field. I had a conversation with Dean Radin from Institute of Noetic Sciences, and he said, we don't have a way of understanding this, but in some way, if the words were spoken were what inspired the music, the energetic intention of those words is watermarked into the frequency of the music itself. I never thought I'd publicly come out and say that, but there's something going on. So I wanted to play one of the pieces of music one of the 70 that we've created so far, that as it happens, I don't even want to say the title because I don't want to lead people astray with this, but I want us to listen first to the music alone for about 30 seconds or so. And then in the same way that Bohemian dialogue, which is that famous way of circling around, as Krishnamurti and David Bohm created the way that was trying to avoid egoic speaking and more sensitizing to what does the circle, what does the group want to be spoken into? What is wants to be, how can I be utilized as an instrument of the divine and of the whole to speak something that wants to be said through me rather than from the small s self, right? So in that same spirit, I'm going to play this track, and I want you and I to drop in together, not knowing what we'll say, and let the music shape a deeper, so people can experience what it's like to speak over it, but also to hear it. And I just want to say the three uses. Well, no, I'll let you experience it first. So I hopefully that cue, that audio cue called when someone dies, can you please just play that? And we'll play, and at the right time, whenever it feels right to either one of us, Sarah, let's listen to what wants to be said. For now, turn it up. There we go. When we start talking, we can lower it a little bit. For those in the audience, I invite you to close your eyes for a moment. Breathe.
In the moment when my heart is breaking, and I'm landing in the depth of my being, there is a sweetness, a silence, and a beauty that I have never known before.
I sit here, thousands of miles away from you, filled with a felt sense of intimacy with you and closeness with you that defies all distances. And I'm comforted by the pace of this conversation, where the rushing, the agendas, and all the to-dos, those just not so many. And I'm invited to directly experience what it might feel like and sound like if the unified field were more palpable to my five senses. Like a plant going out a window searching for the light.
And so I stand here, present, waiting, and here it is. In this moment, and only in this moment, in the opening of the cracked heart, is music. The music of my soul.
Thank you. And I want to just say a couple of distinctions that I noticed about this, because I was going to release these instrumental tracks to the Spotify, the streaming audience, Sarah. And then I decided that I'm going to actually introduce them to a growing world of wisdom keepers and guided meditation hosts that have no clue how to set their words to music in a way that is optimally assimilated by the audience, by heart, body, mind, and soul. A lot of people create music underneath their spoken word, mostly now with Mind Valley and Om Valley and Calm and all this, without any understanding of how the human heart and soul can't absorb the meaning and the emotion and the spirit of the spoken word when there's a lot of melody and quickness of harmony and a lot of stuff going on, right? It's too cacophonous. It's almost like our hearts and souls are tender and they move at different paces of assimilation than the speediness of the linear mind. So I'm going to come up with a name for this genre because it'll not only provide a way for thought leaders to have better words or better music for their spoken word, which is necessary because it'll help cultivate people's capacity for more deeper presence and more deeper awakening, connection to their heart and soul. But it'll also create a way for people to have a jump start to their contemplative practice that most people have a very hard time starting or sustaining. And the idea of extending your space for presence, I'm suddenly realizing that these tracks that I created for your words have an enormous value, catalytic value, for people that want to integrate heart, soul, and slow down.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So in our last minutes, because we only have a little bit left, I wanted you to get the first 6 minutes of an extraordinary Island of Inner Peace wisdom film on Gaia TV Season 2 called Gaia Speaks. And just like Sarah's book, Love Money, Money Loves You, Sarah has this gift where she will shapeshift into speaking from, or what it would be like. What if this was the voice of money itself? Love Money, Money Love You is that book. Highly recommended, Audible and print. But this is, what if Gaia spoke directly to us all? And I couldn't imagine, since we only have 7 minutes left, I want to use the first 6 for this, and then we'll just say goodbye and tell people our website quickly. So let's play, perfect for Peace Week, a message from Gaia on the wisdom film that can be found on Gaia TV's Islands of Inner Peace in the 2nd season. Thank you for playing the video. First 6 minutes.
As I look across my body, your planet, your home, I hear your voices, the cries for help, the grief, and the sadness of loss, the confusion, the ignoring, I see people who don't want to look. I see people who feel everything. I see children who are confused. They don't understand what's happening. I see old people who've lived all their life in nature, wondering what went wrong. I see people in power turning their hearts cold so they don't have to see. And I see people in power with tears and openness and willingness to change. I see the constraints you've placed around yourselves, the compromises, the challenges, and I see the beautiful expressions of love, the people who create small paradises in the hidden corners of my body. I see it all, and I know you, every one of you. And I want to share a message with you. Whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever your viewpoint, you stand in this moment of time before a great opportunity. Every one of you knows in your heart the language of love. Every one of you knows in your heart the language of beauty. So I call you to touch into that love that you know. You know it so well. And to take it as your role, your work, your contribution to add to my beauty.
There we go. Thank you. It's hard to cut that off, but I had to get to the place where you said, but we all know the language of love and beauty. And I am so moved by that piece, Sarah. The way we all become little children listening to the Mother Gaia, you know. I just want to thank you for this extraordinary opportunity to dive more deeply into what's behind the creation of these beautiful works that we really haven't figured out, other than Unity Earth's opportunity to put them as opening 2-minute experiences for corralling our holistic attention. We still haven't figured exactly quite how they can scale. And we're going to be open to that. And we're exploring different things. And there's a new thing we're going to be offering, which is a listening party, a listening magic party called All Is Well. And it's, Sarah, is there a way that it'll be on your website announcing this coming up? Sarah, the listening magic? We can't hear you. Muted.
Sorry. Yes, it will be. It actually isn't there yet. It's if you're interested in it, the best thing to do is to sign up onto just go to sarahmccrum.com and sign up onto my list, and we'll let you know when it's happening. It's in October. We'll be listening to a whole 45-minute transformance. That is like a really special experience.
It's remarkable. It uses the tuning system, that the very piece of music that caught Sarah's energetic vibrational ear that said, I have to work with this guy. And I know we're pushing, needing to end, but just want to make a couple more comments. First of all, Sarah, it has been a blessing beyond words to be surprised by the power of simplicity and the depth of the essence that comes through, that trumps any complexity that I might fall in love with him as a film composer, right? So thank you for that. And I look forward to more collaborations and more transformances. I also want to let you know that my intention is to create a 12-part first-year series of Islands of Inner Peace. And the people that have been recorded by these things we'll hope to have as our guests. Sarah would be Lynn Twist, Reverend Michael Beckwith, many really beautiful souls who are still around that we would like to talk about this genre. And you can also sign up for wisdomoftheworld.com, and you'll be hearing it on that. We'll be sending a newsletter from that site as well, because we haven't created the All Is Well invitation yet, but we will. So both sites, you can sign up for either, and we'll tell you more about the upcoming. I think that the last thing I want to say is I envision a world where we let the cat out of the bag, that our rational minds alone will not solve our global problems. And that I see a world where the wisdom of our heart intelligence, our soul intuitive intelligence, resonance intelligence, our somatic intelligence, body knows the score, as that famous phrase goes, becomes equal jewels in the crown of the human intelligence. And that we realize that the outcome that we have ahead of us as human beings will depend on the vibrational state change that we're all creating together. We create from the rate at which we vibrate. And if we can vibrate with more inclusion on our hearts, bodies, minds, and souls activated, we have a different world, and hopefully a peaceful one. So I know you got to go, Sarah. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ben and Hubcast, for giving me the opportunity to create this pilot. May this become a series soon. And I love you, and I'm with you, and I'm deeply grateful for the opportunity to unpack this together. Thank you. Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you.